Imagine for a moment a world where your money doesn't just sit there, waiting for payday. Instead, it flows to you constantly, like a stream. Think about payroll paid by the second, or spending crypto as easily as tapping your phone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Zebec Network and its token ZBCN. This is a project aiming to make that seamless flow of value a reality. We've gone through, quite a stack of sources, official websites, deep crypto analyses, social media buzz-all to pull out the key info, and frankly, some surprising stuff for you. Our mission, to really unpack Zebec's vision, its products, what's happening with its market performance right now, the ups and the downs, and what might be next. We'll try to cut through the hype, but also address the skepticism. So let's start right at the beginning. What exactly is the Zebec Network, and what's the big ambition here?
Okay, so at its core, Zebec Network is basically a decentralized platform built for moving real-world value smoothly. It kicked off on the Solana blockchain back in November 2021. The driving vision was, pretty ambitious, fundamentally change how money moves around the globe, and that vision got attention. They pulled in $35 million in backing from some big names, Coinbase, Circle, Solana Ventures.
Okay, $35 million, that's serious backing. Let's unpack that a bit. Altering financial transactions fundamentally. And Zebec itself has changed too, hasn't it? There was an older token first. Some listeners might remember ZBC.
That's exactly right. They started with ZBC, but then strategically it evolved into the Zebec network we see now with the new token, ZBCN. That change happened between April 10th and May 10th, 2024. It was basically a 1-for-10 swap. Think of it like a stock split almost. One old ZBC got you 10 new ZBCN. The whole point was to boost the network's utility and make the token more accessible. And crucially, no new tokens were made in the process. The total supply stayed the same in terms of overall value, and all the old ZBC. Burned. Gone.
A 1.10 split and burn. That's quite a move. So for you listening, what does this evolved Zebec network actually do? What are the key things, the products that are changing how money moves?
Well, the absolute core idea is streaming finance. It's a system that lets money move in real time, continuously, without the usual banks or payment processors in the middle. So, for instance, an employer can literally stream salary payments to employees second by second. Forget weekly or biweekly paychecks.
Okay, stop there. Streaming salaries second by second, that sounds, revolutionary. But how does that work in practice? I mean, are there actual products people are using day to day?
Oh, absolutely. They have things like the Zebec Cards. There's a silver version, a black version. These let you spend your crypto instantly, like for everyday stuff, coffee, groceries, whatever. Works in over 138 countries, and they say without transaction fees. Plus, they're non-custodial, meaning you keep control of your keys or your crypto. And they work across different blockchains, and they integrate with Apple Pay, Google Pay, the usual suspects.
Wow, okay. Real-world spending is often called the holy grail for crypto projects, right? So what are the numbers looking like? Is this catching on? Are people actually using this stuff?
The numbers are pretty compelling, actually. Their report from May 2025 showed the payroll feature alone pulling in over $40 million in volume. That was covering more than 11,000 employees. And then, an update by August 2025, payroll volume had crossed $41 million a month across more than 15 blockchains. And the Zebec Cards, they were pushing $52 million a month in spending. So it seems like there's real demand.
Okay, impressive numbers. So beyond the cards and the streaming payroll, what else is in this ecosystem they're building? It sounds like it's getting quite broad.
It really is. They're developing a whole suite of things. There's RWA Payments. That's for cross-border remittances, using blockchain to potentially make sending money internationally faster and cheaper. They're also big into dependent, decentralized physical infrastructure. Think blockchain coordinating actual hardware, like payment terminals. They call their version DePIN, with point-of-sale devices. Then there are Zebec Vaults for managing assets securely. Oh, and ZAI, that's an AI layer they're building for fraud detection and AML compliance, which is super important. And of course, the Nautilus chain. That's their own Layer 3 blockchain.
Layer 3. Okay, you mentioned Nautilus chain. For listeners maybe not super deep in the tech weeds, can you quickly explain what a Layer 3 is and what's special about this Z-Rollup technology it uses?
Sure. So think of Layer 1 as the base blockchain, like, say, Ethereum. Layer 2s are built on top to help them scale, make them faster and cheaper. A Layer 3, like Nautilus, builds another layer up. It's often specialized for specific tasks, aiming for even more efficiency or unique features. Nautilus uses Z-Rollups. It's a clever bit of cryptography. Stands for zero knowledge. It basically bundles up loads of transactions off the main chain, processes them, and then creates a tiny proof to verify them back on the Layer 1 or Layer 2. This massively boosts speed and, crucially, privacy. Ideal for the kind of high-volume stuff Zebec wants to handle.
Got it. Thanks. That clarifies things. Now, I also heard buzz about a super app. What's the story there? Is it really aiming to be the Apple Pay moment for Web3? That's a bold claim.
Yeah, it is bold. There's definitely a lot of anticipation around it. It was apparently slated to drop around August 19th, 2025. The idea is to bundle staking, payroll, and remittances all into one seamless app, powered by these real-time tokens, aiming for that super simple mainstream user experience, like Apple Pay. Whether it achieves that is the big question, of course. But look at Japan. Their carbon card is already live there. And it's accepted by merchants, works with Apple Pay, Google Pay, and Japanese companies are using the payroll streaming, so the model can work.
Okay, a working model in Japan is definitely interesting. So with all this activity, the tech, the products, the super app hopes, what does it all mean for the ZBCN token itself? How does it actually function within this bustling ecosystem?
Right, so ZBCN is really central. It's the native utility token and the governance token for the network. You use it to pay for transaction fees on the network, including the gas fees on their Nautilus chain. So using the network basically requires and consumes ZBCN, which helps keep things running and secure.
And what about the supply? Is it just constantly increasing as more people use it?
No, actually, it's designed to be deflationary. A portion of those transaction fees we just mentioned gets burned, permanently removed from circulation. So over time, the total supply is meant to decrease. This scarcity could, potentially help support its value.
Interesting, a deflationary model. Okay, shifting slightly, how does the community get involved? You mentioned governance. How does that work?
Well, being a governance token means ZBCN holders get a say in the network's future. They can participate in decision-making through Zebec's DAO, that's a decentralized autonomous organization. They mentioned it's a hybrid DAO, likely blending some traditional structure with community voting on proposals, so holders can influence the direction. Plus, just holding ZBCN can get you staking rewards and access to premium features, maybe discounts or early access to new stuff.
Right, and speaking of holding and commitment, we heard about a big staking milestone recently.
Yes. This is pretty significant. As of August 6th, apparently ZBCN officially crossed 4 billion tokens staked. That's a huge number for their staking program. It really signals strong belief and long-term commitment from the holders. It shows people trust the project's roadmap and see utility in locking up their tokens. That's a very positive sign for any network.
4 billion staked.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so given all that development, all that apparent belief, how is ZBCN actually doing in the market right now? Our sources seemed a bit, conflicted, almost like a tug of war in signals.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag recently, depending on the time frame you look at. We saw reports back in June 2025 saying it was crashing. But then more recent updates in August were highlighting it being up 600% plus this year. As of mid-August, when we were prepping this, the price was hovering around 0.00043 to 0.00044. That gives it a market cap somewhere in the ballpark of $388 to $399 million, ranking it, somewhere between hashtag 104 and hashtag 147 in the crypto charts.
Okay, so maybe some recent choppiness, but the bigger picture this year has been significant growth.
Exactly. Looking at the very short term, like the last 24 hours before our dive, it was down maybe 3 to 3.6%. The past week, down maybe 8 to 11%. But zoom out to the last month, and depending on the exact date in August you check, it was up anywhere from 35% to even 125%. And the 12-month return, a really remarkable plus 381.96%. It did hit an all-time high back on May 30th, 2025, somewhere around 0.00645 to 3700071. It's down about 38% from that peak now, sure, but it's still up over 532% from its all-time low in August 2024. So yeah, long-term trend is strong despite recent dips.
Gotcha. Some analyses we looked at also pointed to specific technical things, indicators, chart patterns, and an upcoming event. Can you break those down a bit for us? What should someone watching this space know?
Right. So technically speaking, in August, indicators like the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, which measures momentum, were showing ZBCN as oversold. Often, not always, but often, that can suggest an asset might be due for a price bounce. Some analysts were also spotting a chart pattern called an inverse head and shoulders, which is generally seen as a bullish sign, potentially indicating a bottom and reversal upwards. Now, a really key factor everyone's watching is a token unlock event, scheduled around August 15th. Typically, when a chunk of previously locked tokens gets released onto the market, it can put temporary downward pressure on the price. More supply, right. But here's the fascinating part. Despite this upcoming unlock, reports suggest that large holders, whales, have actually been buying ZBCN. accumulating. There was one instance mentioned of nearly 1 billion ZBCN, worth over $5.5 million being scooped up. So it looks like some big players are strategically buying into this potential dip, seemingly unfazed by the short-term unlock pressure. They might see long-term value.
Whales accumulating despite an unlock. That is interesting. It suggests some serious conviction. We also saw some data trying to figure out who's actually trading ZBCN. What did that show?
Yeah, that adds another layer. The on-chain data suggests most trading happens on centralized spot markets. That means people are directly buying and selling the token itself, rather than trading futures contracts, which are more for speculation and leverage. This could point towards more people buying to hold longer term. However, specifically on the Solana chain, the number of brand new traders entering the ZBCN market has actually been dropping since late May. And while bigger wallets are doing more of the trading volume overall, the actual number of whale wallets, let's say those holding over $100 K's worth, has been decreasing slightly. So what does that mean? It could suggest some whales are exiting, maybe selling off parts of their holdings, potentially to smaller retail investors who are still buying in. It paints a picture where the immediate price might be heavily influenced by the remaining large holders and whether they continue to sell or hold.
Okay. So a complex dynamic between large holders potentially taking profits and retail accumulating. Beyond the market moves, though, long-term value often comes from building real connections. Zebec seems active in partnerships. What are some key alliances they've made that could, bolster their future?
Definitely. They recently acquired a company called GateKnox. GateKnox does AI-powered KYC, Know Your Customer, specifically for Web3. That's crucial for compliance. They brought GateKnox's co-founder on as a strategic advisor too. They've added other advisors. They've partnered with Algorand. And again, they have backing from huge names like Visa and Circle. Zebec's co-founder even pointed out how Circle's USDC stablecoin acts like a dollar with superpowers. It really emphasizes their focus, I think, on solving tangible problems, payroll, easy settlement, compliance, bridging traditional finance needs with crypto efficiency.
Right, solving real problems. So putting it all together, the tech, the adoption, these partnerships, what's the outlook? What's the future potential for ZBCN looking like?
Well, look, many analysts seem to think Zebec is positioned pretty strategically for growth. There's speculation it could benefit hugely from wider crypto adoption. For example, there was talk, rumors really, of a potential U.S. executive order allowing crypto and 401k retirement plans. If something like that happened, Zebec, with its focus on payroll and real-time payments, could be really well placed. But perhaps the biggest potential catalyst everyone talks about is getting listed on major exchanges, think Coinbase or Binance. Many sources seem to feel that's only a matter of time. A major listing like that would massively increase accessibility, liquidity. Potentially, as some put it, turning it into a $1 billion asset overnight from its current sub-$500 million level. That's the hope anyway.
$1 billion asset overnight. That's the kind of potential that gets attention. What about actual price predictions? I know it's crystal ball territory, but what are people forecasting?
Yeah, always take predictions with a huge grain of salt in crypto. But okay, we saw ranges for 2025 between maybe 0.0001 on the low end up to 0.008. Looking further out towards 2030, maybe 0.003 to 0.0001, assuming things go well for crypto generally and for Zebec specifically. Then you have the really bullish takes, the moonshot predictions, some suggesting it could go way higher, maybe even $1, $2, or incredibly $5, especially if that August 15th unlock passes smoothly and big buying continues. But again, it's vital for anyone listening to remember the risks. Crypto's volatile. Zebec's success depends on continued adoption, hitting their tech milestones, and just how the broader market behaves. Definitely do your own research.
Absolutely. So we've really dug into Zebec Network today, how it's trying to change money flow with streaming finance, its real-world products like the cards, the upcoming super app, and how the ZBCN token fits in, powering utility and governance.
And we looked at the market dynamics, that interesting push and pull between recent price action and long-term growth, the whale movements versus retail buying, plus those key partnerships aiming to give it real traction. It's definitely a complex but potentially very interesting project to watch.
So the big question remains, could Zebec Network actually bridge that gap between old finance and the decentralized future? Can they make real-time value flow truly effortless? Or are there hidden challenges, currents beneath the surface that could cause problems? It's a really compelling question, and hopefully this deep dive gives you a starting point for your own exploration into where finance might be heading.